Welcome back to the channel, people. It's your boy Ducotto, and we back with another car podcast. As you can tell, I'm on my way to work. But even with that, the videos don't stop. The love doesn't stop. The support doesn't stop. So I appreciate every single one of y'all for tuning in, for tapping in, for listening in. Turn on your notifications, hit that subscribe button, drop a comment in the video. Now that it's international break, I thought I'd change up the way I do the videos and the way we have discussions, and I would love to talk about, what's been going on in the news. And what's been going on in the news is, Sandro Tonali updates, Bruno Guimaraes updates, midfield contingencies depending on Champions League placements. Like, there's been a lot that's been going on. I'm not gonna hold y'all. There's been a lot that's been going on. If I'm starting with just some of the, I guess, team perspective or team news updates. Hold on. Woo! Bless me. So, if we're talking about team news, it's apparent that we have a plan. Hold on. I always do too. I don't know why. I always do too. So, team news update. It's been apparent that depending on if Manchester United finishes in the Champions League or not, it will be dependent on the number of players, specifically midfield players, that we look to target and look to sign. It is within reasoning to say that if we finish in Champions League placements, we would and could be looking at signing 3 midfield players. What they don't mention, or one of the caveats, is one of those midfield signings would be Kobbie Mainoo just re-signing a new deal. Right? So that's one of it. Kobbie Mainoo signs a new deal. So that effectively might lead to us to signing 2 midfielders. Now, it's my belief and my assumptions that we should be looking to sign 3 midfield players while also re-signing Kobbie Mainoo. And let me say why. Kobbie Mainoo, yes, is 20 years old. Yes, he's from the academy. But there's still a level of unprovenness from him. If we're talking about pushing the needle forward, trying to win the Premier League by year 2028, become the giants that we were back in Europe, it's going to take more than just re-signing Kobbie Mainoo to get back to that level. There's levels of veteranism, another skill set, profiles that we can add to the team to help boost the overall performance levels of the squad. Also, there's fears that if we sign 3 midfielders, it takes away from the development of Kobbie, or who we currently have, to which I disagree. I think better players make other players better, especially when it comes to the coaching, which is where I'm getting to next. On the other, besides just the caveat of Champions League, it would also come the managerial change. Depending on who we appoint as the next manager, their style, their vision, their, I guess, outlook or future outlook on the team extremely matters. I'm the coach of this team. So we're worried about Champions League placements, and we're also potentially worried about, not really worried about, but having to really be specific on who the manager is that we select, to really say, hey, we're going to allow them to lead us forward. Everyone knows My preference in the matter, of course, is Luis Enrique. Everyone knows that. Everyone knows that. Luis Enrique. It's not a surprise. I'm not trying to hide anything. There is no big, oh my gosh. It's just Luis Enrique. I feel like with that profile of a world-class manager will bring about world-class tactics, which will require us to get world-class players. Are you guys following that domino effect? World-class managers comes with world-class tactics, which requires world-class players. A, B, C. Okay. So that's my pick, is Luis Enrique. But you're hearing Julius Nagelsmann, Tuchel. You're hearing a whole bunch. Even Enrique. What reason would he have to leave PSG other than he just wants a new challenge? That's it. He just made PSG into a dominant force, fast, young, attacking, confident, just killers, drillers all around, up and down your forward and midfield line, drillers. That is what we need. That is where we have to get to. We have drillers everywhere. That is where we have to get back to, allowing our players to drill from any part of the pitch, right? So, we spoke about the coaches and managerials, and their impacts, I guess, on our summer signings. We've spoken about the need for getting Champions League placements, and I believe it's raised to 4 now, with us drawing, to Bournemouth, and then City to Chelsea and Liverpool losing, respectively. I think it brings the number down to 4. Even so, let's just solidify Champions League, because we know getting into Champions League is bigger than just playing in Champions League. We know it's way bigger. It's the money to be collected. It's the reward for a whole season, especially a season like what we had, with starting with Ruben Amorim. Like, let's not rewrite history now that we have Michael Carrick at the helm. Like, Ruben Amorim almost had us, like, he had us comfortable with being in 7th and 6th and saying, yes, this is our mark. Imagine that. Big United, we were comfortable with being 7th in the table, talking about, we finished 15th the year before, so it's an improvement. No, being in Champions League is an improvement. What are we doing here? Being in Champions League is the improvement. And so that's just the one thing with Michael Carrick, how people are like, he deserves a job. And I know from a financial perspective, it's cheaper and easier to keep Carrick. However, I would want to challenge United by going for Luis Enrique. All right, so we've spoken about that. Now it's the potential incomings this summer. The big name that we're seeing in the moment was Bruno Guimaraes, but the team, I guess, recent reports, team updates from Fabrizio and the likes of them is that Guimaraes was nothing more than just an appreciation by the club. It was anything serious, anything, I guess, marginalized. It was just, yeah, we appreciate the talent that is Bruno Guimaraes. We know he's a good player, but we may and are looking at a Sandro Tonali. So we go from 28 years old Bruno Guimaraes to a younger player in Tonali. No injuries, real injuries as well. The only concern that he has is the gambling debts, but like I said, at this point, who doesn't have any issues right on their name? But Sandro Tonali has become, according to the pundits and the punditries out there, he's become our main target, even more so than Baleba, Wharton, and Elliot Anderson. And he's a player that I believe is still under contract until 2030 or like 2029, something like that. So it's not going to be a cheap deal to say. I'm not sure what his wages are, but if his wages are already in a good place, then okay, it might make sense to do a deal of that size. You know, he can play as a 6 or an 8. Right now, I think we need a 6, and I think he's more of an 8. What else? But no, I was watching some of his, like, I guess, clips, his game tape, his footage, and, you know, he has an engine on him. I'll say that much. He has an engine on him, and I think that engine is going to bode well for us. I still think we still need a player of a Wharton profile. I think Wharton is more suited to play that 6 role. But like I said, Sandro Tonali, I'm not upset with. I quite rather like. I think he's a good player. I think he's just a relentless work rate, and that's what we need. It's just work rates, up and down the pitch, box to box. You know, that's what we need, right? So definitely, I believe we need 3 players. Sandro Tonali being one of them, I'm not upset with, but I think we need 3 midfielders. But if you're telling me the priority for this window is, it has to be midfielders. I would say midfielders and a defender, and defenders more so than attackers. But we need work up and down the pitch. But for this window, especially going in, I would say let's just solidify our midfield ranks. Let's just look at getting 3 midfielders, man. I know trying to get Tonali, Elliott, Wharton, Baleba, we're not getting all 4 of them, but I would love, if I had to pick my 3, it would be a Wharton, Baleba, and I guess Tonali now. Wharton, Baleba, and Tonali. I like Elliot Anderson, but there's been reports that he's going to City, so I'm not, gonna waste my time. But I think those 3, Baleba, Wharton, and Tonali, for my midfield maestros, I can be cool with that. I can be very, very cool with that. You know? So, yeah, just want to do a different kind of video today. I just felt like, with it being international break, we're not really going to be playing until, April 13th? Something like that. So, def just wanted to do something on the ends. Okay. But yeah, people, make sure you tap in. Make sure you like the video, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think. Let me know what managerial change you need, or if you want Michael Carrick at the wheel. Let me know, with us being linked to Sandro Tonali, if that's something that means something to you. If you think we should be getting a better player, if he's the right kind of profile. And then just let me know what you think our budget could be if we get Champions League. Like, what do you think we're going to be doing? Who do you think we'll target? I want to know. Let me know in the below in the comment section. But like I said, as always, GGMU. Shout out to the Manx.